Hi folks. So today you're going to get a little bit of an introduction to our next big project in this class, which will be the ukulele. So um, what we're going to do is I'm just going to go over a little bit of the history of the instrument. I'm going to go over the parts of the instrument, and then you're going to actually get to sign up for your work groups. And if there's any time left after that, um, you guys can play the card game War and everything with our note cards. So what happened was many years ago, let's say like the 1500s, 1600s, in Hawaii they didn't have a written language. And you know of other cultures that don't have written languages either. You can think about ancient Egypt and they had the hieroglyphics, or other cultures where maybe they pass down information through stories and folk tales, and through songs that that would get the information out, but they couldn't write any of it down. They didn't know how to. They didn't have a system. So in Hawaii, it was very similar. And one of the main ways of communicating information like stories and family history, things like that, was through traditional dance that they did there called the hula dance. That's the people with the grass skirts and they're dancing and everything. So that was their primary form of like history keeping in a way. Um, and then at some point, these guys came over there called missionaries. And basically, what missionaries did is they would come from whatever country they came from into a new country, and they would try to force their own beliefs upon these people. And that's exactly what happened in Hawaii. So these guys come over to Hawaii and they basically say, hey, you have to learn how to read, you have to learn how to write, and, get modern with society and everything. So we're going to get rid of the hula dance and a lot of your other important cultural things, and all that's sort of pushed aside, and it's kind of lost for generations and generations. So we get to like the end of the 1800s, like the 1880s, 1890s, and the king in Hawaii at the time, you see, they had a king because they were their own nation. They weren't a state yet. The king at the time really wanted to bring back a lot of the traditional Hawaiian culture, including the hula dance. And right around the same time, some woodworkers from Portugal came over into Hawaii as well. Portugal is a small little country, it's right by Spain. So they come into Hawaii and they bring with them these tiny little guitars. And they only have four strings on them, they're real small. And the king actually gets to hear that instrument and he falls absolutely in love with it. He thinks it's great. So he asks the woodworkers to create a version of that guitar, but with woods that grew on trees. Trees are wood. Um, in Hawaii. So out of their own native trees, out of their own native woods. And that's how you ended up with the ukulele, all right? And they used that instrument to sort of accompany and bring back things like the hula dance and all of that. Now, we call it the ukulele, but it's actually pronounced ukulele. Uh, it's a little bit weird, right? Ukulele. It's actually two Hawaiian words sort of combined to each other, and it basically translates to leaping fleas. Um, because when they watch the people play it, their fingers would move really fast along on the fretboard with like little leaping fleas, I guess. And so that happened. And in the 1910s and 1920s, it traveled over into the United States and it was super popular. And there were a lot of recordings and there was sheet music and everything for them. People loved it. And then it sort of faded away in popularity for a while. And then it came back in the 1960s and everybody was like, yeah, ukulele. And then like the 70s came and disco came and hard rock came in the 80s, and it didn't quite fit in at the time, so it went away again. And then in the mid 2000s, it started to get popular again, and so ever since then, it's been doing pretty well. It's in a lot of pop music, and a lot of solo artists use the instrument now. So it's really like at the peak of its popularity, which is pretty cool. It's a fun instrument. Um, Not that one is right in front of you right now, but one of the things you should immediately be able to tell a difference with is the size. It's not that big. It's much smaller than a guitar. Um, that's one of the big differences between this and the guitar. Some other big differences is the strings, the number of them. Number one, there's only 4 strings on this, and on a typical guitar, there's actually 6 strings, and some of them have more. Um, the other thing is on a guitar, when you pluck the notes going down this way, all right, all the notes go higher, boom, 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 kind of like that. Doesn't work that way on a ukulele. All of the notes are kind of like out of order, I guess. So the first one that we pluck right there is the second highest note, but then we go down to the next string, and it's the lowest note. And then we move on to the next string, it's a little bit higher. And then on the very last string is the highest note. So that's the order that they go in. Instead of all going up, they're a little bit out of order. Um, the other thing is when you strum this instrument, it's strummed differently from a guitar. So we're not going to strum over here. We're not going to strum over here. All right. I know a lot of people think that this might be the right spot, but it's not. We actually strum right where the neck, this piece, meets the body of the ukulele. So when you play it, you're going to strum with your index finger, all right, right around here, like that. It's a pretty cool instrument. I like it. So you guys should have in front of you a worksheet. Looks like this. And it's got illustrations of ukulele all over it. And it's got a word bank on here. Basically what it's doing is it's identifying the parts of the ukulele. And it's important that you know what those parts are so that when we talk about them in class, you know what we're talking about. So what I want to do is I just want to go over the different parts on here, okay? And then you can do this on your own after the video is over, all right? So the first word on the list is strings, and hopefully that's pretty self-explanatory. It's these guys right here. These are the strings. There's 4 of them. So you'll see an illustration with 4 arrows pointing to each of the 4 strings. The next word on the list is the body. That's this piece right here. Okay. Now built into the body is the next word, sound hole. You see, it's right here. You can even see a label in there. It's the only hole on the instrument, and what this does is it allows you to hear the instrument. Really, ukuleles and acoustic guitars and things like that, they have like a fat body and they have the sound hole. And so when you pluck the string on it, vibrations make sound. And so those sound waves that are vibrating come and like they vibrate around inside the body and they come back out again through that sound hole, and that projects the sound. That's why like if you see a electric guitar, for example, it's all one solid body and it's real thin. It doesn't have a sound hole. So if you were to like pluck the string on an electric guitar, you wouldn't hear very much. It would be kind of like, it would kind of sound like that. It wouldn't resonate. That's why you plug them in on the bottom, and basically the system inside picks up the vibrations that way and projects it through a speaker. So really you can think of the sound hole as like the speaker on one of these. All right. Next up on the list is the tuning pegs. It's these four pieces right here, okay? And what they do is they adjust the tension on the strings, okay? What that means is it can make a string tighter or it could make it looser. So when you make a string tighter, what that does is it makes the note that the string plays higher. When you make a string looser, it makes the note that the string plays lower. Okay? And they have like a certain sweet spot where it's considered in tune and it's playing the right note when you're not holding anything down. Okay? So at the beginning of each class when we do these, if yours is out of tune, I'll tune it for you. I don't want you guys touching the tuning pegs really for any reason because the slightest changes on them can really get this out of tune real fast, and then you're going to raise your hands and you're going to be like, Mr. B, it doesn't sound good. So don't touch the tuning pegs. Next up is the neck. All right, the neck starts at the top of the body right here and goes all the way up to the tippy top. So you'll see an illustration where it's pointing to here and it's pointing to here. That's the neck. You don't want to get confused with the next one on the list, the fretboard. Okay, the fretboard goes from the top of the sound hole up about this high on the neck. It's this dark piece of wood right here. Okay, so you'll see an illustration where it's pointing down here and it's pointing up here. Okay, that's the fretboard. And what the fretboard does is it houses the frets, which is the next word on the list. And that's these horizontal metal lines on here. Okay? So what the frets do is they basically make a grid with the strings. If you take a look at that, it looks like a grid. So when you look at a chord chart, you'll see a grid, and once you know how to read it, you'll be able to say to yourself, okay, so that means that this finger goes here, this finger goes here, and this finger goes here to play that chord. Yeah, that sounds about right. So that's why the frets are there. They make a grid with the strings. Okay? Second to last word on there is string nut. Okay? And it's this piece right up here. Okay? And what that does is it's got little notches in it, and that the strings sort of settle into those notches, and it keeps them in a straight line. All right? If you're allergic to nuts, you really shouldn't touch the string nut. That was a joke. Has nothing to do with nuts. It's just what it's called. So it doesn't matter if you're allergic. It's fine. It's made out of wood. Anyway, finally, the last word on the list is bridge, which is this piece down here. It's where the strings are tied in and anchored. All right? So that's what the bridge is, right down here. All right? So when this video is over, you'll get a chance to label all of those illustrations with the correct words. I want you to keep that paper, take it back to class with you, and put it inside of a folder, or put it inside of a notebook or a binder, someplace where you know you'll keep it. Fish. I have a fish. I think he's hiding in the grass. It's a little weird. Never really does that. I want you to keep it. Bring it back and forth with you to class. Every couple classes or so, I'm going to give you chord charts or strumming patterns or patterns for a song that I'm going to want you to bring back and forth to class with you. So keep some sort of safe place where you can keep all these papers. I don't want you to lose them. Okay? So you're not going to throw it out, and you're not going to hand it in. You're going to keep it. Okay? Once you're done with that, what you're going to do is you're going to get into groups of 2 or 3 people. Okay? Everybody is going to be in a group. Groups of 2 or 3. Nobody's on their own. These are going to be your ukulele work groups. Okay? And so any day that we do ukulele, you're going to be working with that group to sort of help each other out and play with each other. But that means that you're going to have to be really responsible with who you choose to be in your group, okay? Don't pick people who you think that you're going to have problems with. Don't pick people that you don't get along with, all right? Um, pick people that you'll be able to work well with and not get in trouble, okay? Uh, After you guys have picked those groups, there is a group sign-up paper that the sub or whatever teacher is in the room right now with you, hi, whoever you are, um, will have, and you can sign your names into one of the groups on there. Now, each of the groups has numbered lines. So group 1 has numbers 1, 2, and 3, and group 2 has 4, 5, and 6, and group 3 has 7, 8, and 9, and so on and so forth. Okay? The number that you sign your name next to is going to be your signed ukulele number. Okay? That means all of the ukuleles that we have 30 of them, have a number written on them. The number is written right here, and it's written on the bag that they come in too. Okay? You're going to use the same ukulele for the rest of the year. Okay? You're not going to switch them around or anything like that. So the number that you sign up for, that's your number ukulele, and then I'll have them posted on the closet door so you'll be able to see that and everything. Okay? Once you're all done with that, what you guys will get to do if you finish the worksheet and if you've done the group signups and everything and it's all done, on the white table up front here are the cups with all the playing cards in them, and the key for all of the note values is on there too, so you guys can play War or Go Fish or something for the rest of the class. Okay? Happy Friday. Friday's a very exciting day, and I'm excited to start ukulele starting next week.